All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about normalcy, shall we? I know the word normal has gone out of vogue in today's America, but some things are normal and some aren't. And generally, it registers in your mind and in your gut. You know what's normal and what's not, right? You with me so far? Okay. Item from Breitbart. The United Nations World Health Organization has officially removed the term transgender from the classification of mental disorders. As expected, during the World Health Organization's annual assembly in Geneva on Saturday, the member states adopted the 11th edition of the International Classification of Diseases, the first update of the classification list in 29 years. Unquote. Which shows you exactly why the UN is not only no longer needed, but an actual detriment to the world. Everybody knows that transgenderism is a sickness. The reason it's being removed from their list of mental disorders is because the United Nations is a globalist entity and plays politics. The politically correct thing, the savvy thing to do is what they're doing. And the fact that it's absolutely incorrect doesn't seem to bother people at the Glass Menagerie in New York City. Don't let anyone tell you that transgenderism is not a mental disorder. It most certainly is. I've spoken on this show quoting a couple of eminently qualified psychological and child development experts saying that it very much is a mental disorder. Don't believe anything that comes out of the United Nations. The place is a toilet and should have been closed down a long time ago, and the United States should stop giving it any money at all. In fact, we should take the money that we give to the UN and use it to build the wall. Now here's a related item from the Daily Wire. If you thought Gillette hit peak wokeness level with its widely panned toxic masculinity ad, think again. The razor company outdid itself on Thursday, unleashing a commercial featuring a father teaching his female-to-male transgender child how to shave her face for the first time. Dan McGon defies, in a Facebook post, Gillette posted the ad titled, "First Shave the Story of Samson," showcasing trans activist Samson Bankabantu Brown, shaving for the first time as dad watches and offers advice. Quote, "Whenever, wherever, however it happens, your first shave is special," the video is captioned. Growing up, I was always trying to figure out what kind of man I wanted to become, and I'm still trying to figure out what kind that I want to become, Brown says in the video. As the activist begins to shave, Brown's father advises, quote, "Now don't be scared. Shaving is about being confident. You're doing fine. It's not just myself transitioning, it's everyone around me transitioning," Brown adds. The ad closes with a close-up shot on Brown smiling, with overlaying text reading, "The best a man can get." Quote, "I shot this ad for Gillette and wanted to include my father, who's been one of my greatest supporters throughout my transition, encouraging me to be confident and live authentically as my best self," Brown posted on Facebook. "With the help of Gillette, I was able to share an important milestone in every man's life with my father. I am confident that this ad will encourage many of my trans siblings and fill them with the knowledge that our existence in this world can be filled with the love and support we deserve," the activist wrote. "Be good to yourselves, love yourselves, and know that when you greet the world with love, it can and will love you back, often in the places you least expect." Unquote. Well, I guess trans people are kind of experts in the places that people least expect. But this also is self-serving. First of all, Gillette wants to make money. Trans people are somehow trendy, and so they're riding that trend. As far as Brown's father welcoming his daughter, who is now his son, at a certain point, the parent has to decide whether or not he is going to lose his child or keep his child. And parents are willing to make quite a few exchanges, quite a few concessions in order to keep their children in their lives. My question is why no one has slapped Mr. Brown's father for raising a child this screwed up. Parents, are responsible for the way their kids turn out. And of course, there are myriad other influences, but parents primarily. And if a little girl grows up wanting to be a little boy and then a man, there's a problem. I would hope that Child Protective Services are checking out the Brown family to see what the hell's been going on. But what we have in the case of the World Health Organization removing transgenderism from its mental disorder list, or Gillette hoping to make money by putting a transgender person in front of the camera. Either way, it's self-serving. It is a warping of reality for the simple purpose of making money. The United Nations lives on handouts. It's got to be politically correct at all times, or the handouts will cease. Gillette is in business and has approved in its previous ad campaign, Toxic Masculinity. It doesn't give a rat's ass what it says or what it shows in its ads in order to make more money. Well, maybe I'm some kind of an expert in the field of doing whatever you can to make money because I've been doing the show almost 11 years. I've never earned a penny. I don't do it for money because there are things more important than money, like getting truth out to the American people, like standing for values that have withstood the test of time, like knowing what God wants and expects of us and doing it, not just what we think will put some cash in our pockets. The Democrats do that. Hillary Clinton did that. She would say or do anything. Beto O'Rourke, all the other clowns who are running for president now, they will do anything for money and for votes. They're whores, like the UN World Health Organization, like the people at Gillette. You have to know where people are coming from and why they're saying and doing what they're saying and doing. As we just saw in both instances, it is self-serving. If they were really interested in doing good, they would gently and lovingly take these transgender people by the hand and lead them to a psychiatrist's office. Well, they get something more important than love and affection. Maybe they'll get mental health again. You know, popular belief would tell you that conservatives, political conservatives, lack compassion. Well, that's crap. I'm extremely compassionate, which is why I want to see transgender people get the help they very desperately need, rather than simply patting them on the head and congratulating them for somehow being courageous. It's Riell Truth. It's Tuesday, the day after Memorial Day. We'll be right back.
You staring out the window.
All right, guys, welcome back. I am, by the way, Howard Riell, and you are, by the way, listening to Riell Truth in every sense of the phrase. Bill O'Reilly was on the radio today speaking. Very, very interesting comments. Let's start with this. Go.
Well, here it's Tuesday, May 28th.
Stop right there. I'm going to surprise you by talking about Bill Buckner. Dead at the age of 69, Bill Buckner was an exceptional baseball player, won the batting title in 1980, made the All-Star team. But none of that matters. What matters is that Bill Buckner blew a ground ball that cost his team the 1986 World Series. Missed the ball. Fumbled it. Screwed up. Mookie Wilson got to first base. The Mets went on to win the game, and then the next game, and they became World Series champions. It dogged Bill Buckner for years. It got so bad he wouldn't show his face in public. Didn't go to old-timers games. Moved out of state because the people where he lived, the people of Massachusetts, hounded him, insulted him, berated him. And it's because people take sports much too seriously. Folks, a baseball game is just a game. It's a game. Unless you are an investor in a baseball team, I can't see that you have much cause to go bananas when your team loses. Sports fans, Boston Red Sox fans, put their team and their game at such a premium they were willing to hound and berate and harass a human being who had done nothing malicious. He made a mistake. I've read that once in a while human beings do that. Bill Buckner had that cloud over his head the rest of his life because he made a mistake in a game. So let his death, may he rest in peace, let it serve as a teachable moment. If you are so tied in emotionally to sports that you would harass a Bill Buckner years after the error he made, you also need psychological help. You probably have an empty, vacuous life. It's ridiculous to say there are more important things in life than sports because children know this. Too many sports fans in Boston did not know this. And they acted like animals to a guy who didn't deserve it. So wean yourself off of sports, sports mania, sports obsession. Get involved with life, with real life. Because no matter how much you pull for your team, you ain't never going to play for it. All right, stop right there. New York is seeing a spike in hate crimes. Why do you think that is? What do you think officials in New York will point to? I've got my own theory. Let's listen.
That an 83% rise in
All right, there's so much to unpack here, I hardly know where to begin. New York is a Democrat stronghold, and it has always played one race over another. Racially divisive politics is a creature of the Democrat Party, of the left. And so naturally, in a place that is as solidly Democrat as New York, you're going to have racial groups vying with each other, all the way back to Al Sharpton and his black followers burning out a Korean deli, a Korean produce stand. So that divisive politics, that hateful rhetoric from the Democrats is part of this. Another part of it is the media. which trumpets sensationalistic garbage and helps magnify that divisive politics is always on the side of the Democrats, and so trumpets whatever moronic crap comes out of the Democrats. Anti-Israel bias. That also ties into the media. Israel in the Middle East is the good guy. The Arab nations that conspired to destroy it, waged wars against it, who go to the United Nations, we're back to the glass menagerie, and try and pelt Israel continually with resolution after resolution after resolution. Those Arab countries are the insidious bad guys. Israel is our closest friend. It's a Western democracy just like us. And so if there is anti-Israel sentiment in New York City, it's because of the media. It's because of the Democrat tendency towards racial division. And it's also a result of the educational system in New York, which I can tell you from firsthand knowledge sucks. If New York schools were teaching reality about the Middle East, if they were teaching the truth about the Middle East, people wouldn't think that Israel was the bad guy. And if parents, nobody goes away unscathed on Riell Truth, if parents were doing the right thing about their kids, they would see to it that they were learning the truth about what's happening in the Middle East. And if New Yorkers in general took the time to research things like this, like the Arab-Israeli conflict, we'll call it that, if they took the time to read more than an occasional headline before they went back to surfing porn, they would also know that Israel has acted righteously in dealing with the Palestinians, a lot more softly, by the way, than I ever would. So all these things come together, all these factors combine in a perfect storm, and the result is anti-Semitism in New York City. Keep going, Bill.
Over to the border.
What a sad commentary this is, my friends. Here's the United States with an annual budget that makes God go, huh? We can't find $20 billion for a wall. The government is so captive to the Democrats and to the left and to the media that we can't scare up enough money to build a wall. And so private individuals are donating to protect themselves, to build a wall, to keep out the illegal aliens and the drug cartels and the drugs they sell and the human trafficking and the diseases. It's up to individuals to safeguard this country, and that itself is a teachable moment. Just as I told you a few minutes ago, to wean yourself off of sports, wean yourself off of the belief that government is ever going to really do much for you. Government's not going to protect you. Government's not looking out for you. Government is a thing, and it looks out for itself. If the swamp in D.C. wanted to look out for you, believe me, there would have been a wall up there a long time ago. Don't depend on government. Sometimes government help is unavoidable. That goes without saying. But people, again, on the left, Democrats, their solution to everything is more government, bigger government, and this is what bigger government gets you. We've never had a bigger government. We've never been spending as much money as we are now. And this poor schlep on the border has to build his own wall to protect himself and his family. A 1,000 people a day are sneaking into the country just in that spot, just where they're building that little section of wall. Folks, am I crazy, or is America going crazy? Since when did the idea of self-defense, of protecting our borders and national security, when did that become racist? When did Americans decide to turn on America by leaving us vulnerable to attack and invasion? Am I so out of touch? Am I so old July 1st, I'll be 61, God help me. That I'm still living in a bygone era? I hate to think so, because if America doesn't patrol its borders, guess what? It won't be America for very much longer. It may be called America, but it won't be America. And as far as what's going on with the American people, that they are against building a wall, go back to my previous comments about the media, about education, about the Democrats and their divisive politics. It all melds together. But, excuse me, because the people in Europe, in England, want Brexit for very common sense, logical reasons. They don't want to be swamped by illegal immigrants, which they must be if they remain part of the EU. Here in America, Democrats want monolithic government, centralized government. Well, take a look at Europe. How's it working out there? They created the EU, which is de facto a centralized government, and individual members like Britain don't want it. They're dying. The EU says if an immigrant comes into one country that's a member of the EU, it has free passage, free and open passage, any place. Well, that's killing country after country after country in Europe. As the folks in Sweden and Denmark and France and Germany and England. The people are sick to death of it, and they just don't want it anymore. Isn't that the sentiment that got Donald Trump elected in the first place? Isn't it time we acted on that sentiment, which is nothing more than an instinct for self-preservation? Thank you, Bill. Let's move on. Item from Breitbart. Bear Creek High School in Stockton, California, was placed on lockdown last week after an estimated 80 students attacked police officers who arrived on campus to detain one student for fighting with school staff. Stockton police estimated about 80 Bear Creek High School students were involved in a physical altercation with police officers on Friday, as the officers were detaining one student for fighting with staff. Video footage captured the chaotic brawl, which shows scores of students surrounding the officers in what appears to be an attempt to stop them from detaining the student. Moments later, one student in the crowd can be seen throwing a garbage can at the officers, while others jeer and shout. Unquote. My friends, in my fantasy life, I live in a country in which parents can be jailed for the horrible deeds of their children. Because parents, like I said before, are responsible. As is the media, as is wider culture. Okay, granted. A student was fighting with school staff. Was it possible that students would help the staff member against the violent student? I guess that's from a bygone era, right? When police show up, the students attack them? The only reason this makes sense is that it happened in the state of California where just about everybody is nuts. When did our culture turn upside down? Where the police are the bad guys and violent students are looked at as victims. Item from the Daily Wire, an NBC poll which debuted Sunday on Meet the Press revealed a characteristic about Bernie Sanders voters that wasn't exactly flattering. Turns out the less you pay attention to politics, the more likely you are to support the socialist option for the 2020 Democrat presidential nomination. My friends, no surprise here. Not just Democrats in general, but socialism itself is popular among low information voters. Now, I didn't say stupid voters, and I could have said ignorant voters. I'll be nice for a change. I'll call them low information voters. The Democrats look for low information voters like kids in school because they can sell their propaganda to them. They can fill their heads with nonsense and tell them it's truth, and the simpletons won't know any different. I guess we're on a break.
Hey, Howard, I I got the break on. You didn't hear that. I'm going to try something different today. So the next break should be a lot stronger. I'm actually figuring it out. So just hang tight.
Okay, thanks.
Approximately $8 on a trip. Prices include 16 slides, all gear, lunches for 2 hours. Call about discounts for beds and supplement fees. Before hiring a realtor from a big corporation who outsources their jobs and pays little to no taxes, ask yourself what you really want in a realtor. You need a realtor who's honest and has integrity. A realtor who's focused on the client's bottom line, not the realtor's bottom line. Who provides personal, over-the-top service before, during, and after the transaction. You want a realtor that knows how to market your property. Hi, I'm James Morgan, a realtor with Grisham & Associates, LLC. I am your Colorado real estate specialist. Land deals, mountain cabins, or urban dwellings, I've got you covered. For the first-time home buyer, we will make it the best experience. If you are looking to move up or downsizing, we will do better than your last transaction. Call me today at 723-0731 or visit coloradoproperties.online. Let me do a great job for you.
Grandpa's part of the gun. We are a family-owned and operated business. We run a gun store, pawn shop in Longmont, Colorado, and that serves the country. It's for sale in our 4,200 square foot building. Grandpa's Pawn and Gun at 40 alcohol, tobacco, firearms is one of the state's highest volume gun dealers. We are also the busiest pawn shop. We offer the lowest interest rates on
Agency 13.
All right, guys, welcome back to Riell Truth. I am, let me look in the mirror. Okay, I am still Howard Riell. The show is still called Riell Truth. And the shenanigans are still going on in Washington, D.C. Remember a guy named Michael Avenatti? He was the sleazebag, scumbag lawyer piece of garbage who was an absolute beloved icon on CNN, MSNBC, CNNBC. They loved the guy. He was on hundreds of hours spreading his lies and filth. And, of course, he had lots of things to say about the president. That goes without saying. Now it appears you're going to have trouble getting in touch with Mr. Avenatti. If you don't go through his lawyer, you'll have to visit the prison that he's probably going to be going to. If all the charges against Avenatti are found to be legit, if he's found guilty on all of them, he should be out of jail in just, 400 years. 400 years. This is the guy that the left media loved. They did everything but kiss him on the top of his bald head. And he's a lying scumbag. So much for the left. Here's Tucker Carlson. All right, I'll answer that question, Tucker. Thank you, because I've asked similar types of questions in the past. How stupid do you have to be? I mean, seriously, folks. How deficient in brain cells must you be to be a leftist, to want no border around the United States, to want sanctuary cities, to want to raise taxes when we've seen that lowering taxes has supercharged our economy? How stupid do you have to be? Well, Tucker's about to give us the answer. Go ahead, Tuck. So, if Michael Avenatti was hailed as a feminist hero, and if another Democrat by the name of Bill Clinton has been hailed as a feminist hero, doesn't it tell us that the people doing all the hailing are morons? Or at the very least, hypocrites who are willing to watch women suffer as long as they and their candidates get power and money. You know, the longer I follow politics, the more disgusted I am by the left. Mind you, I didn't grow up in a conservative family. I grew up in a family that voted Democrat because if you were Jewish and living in New York, you voted Democrat, period. First time I ever voted, 200 years ago when I was 18, I voted for Jerry Brown in the Democrat primary. Governor Moonbeam, that's how much I knew. And in the presidential election, I voted for Jimmy Carter. That's how much I knew. And I'm beating my chest right now to do penance for that. So I wasn't born a conservative politically. I learned it. I observed. I watched. And I just scratched my head at the utter insanity on the left and in the Democrat Party. Let's go back to Tucker.
All the while starting in Illinois.
Well, you have an entire side of the political spectrum that doesn't mind lying. Avenatti lies. His client, Stormy Daniels, an aging whore, lies. She said one time she never had relations with the president. Then when she had a chance to make a few bucks, she said she did, and now most recently she's saying again she didn't. Birds of a feather, liars of a feather stick together. We've seen nothing but lies from Hillary Clinton for 30, maybe 35 years. Remember Bill Clinton? I did not read my lips. I did not have sex with that girl. Turned out he was lying, right? Lying. Nadler, Pelosi, Swalwell, Ilhan Omar, the whole fetid crew, they lie. Their whole political party is founded on lies, including that cow Donna Brazile, who's now for some reason showing up on Fox. It is a party that subsists on lies and deluding the innocent. And it makes me sick. And it's poison for this country. And it's poison for us and our children and our children's children. And as America goes, so goes the whole planet. So what do you say we reject lies and the people who tell them and embrace, here it comes, wait for it, the real truth? Because that's what this show stands for. We'll be right back.
Is that better, Howard?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
How loud was that? Was that still too quiet, or was that pretty?
No, that was okay. That was just fine.
Okay, I'll keep working on it.
Thank you. All right, guys, welcome back. Howard Riell, the host of Riell Truth, and yes, the author of Riell Truth Stay Angry, which is available online. Go to virtualbookworm.com, buy it, read it, memorize it, share it, discuss it. It can become the centerpiece of a new, savvier view of the world that you can get by reading it. Now, let me tell you about Hispanics. I'm going to give you the inside dope on Hispanics. Get closer to the radio because I don't want everybody to hear this. I'm going to tell you a big, big secret that most people don't know about Hispanics. You ready? Here it comes. They're just like everybody else. Hispanics are like everybody else. They want a decent life. They want to work. They want safety and security. They want people to follow the same rules they follow. Sometimes in America we talk about different ethnic groups and racial groups like they're a species unto themselves. It's utter stupidity. It's got to stop. People are people. You got good and bad Hispanics like you got good and bad whites and good and bad African Americans. Come on. Let's get past this, shall we? The reason I'm talking about it is that Dick Morris did a lunch alert on the fact that Hispanics are supporting Donald Trump's border wall. And of course they are, because it makes all the sense in the world for us to protect our border. It's that simple. Here's Dick Morris.
There's an astonishing survey that I saw last week of 1,000 Hispanic citizens in the United States. And it qualifies for you had to be Latino or Hispanic, you had to be a U.S. citizen, and you had to be registered to vote. And there are thousands of national flags, very rare that you can use this flag that large. The poll was taken by John Jordan and Opinionist Latinas. And Jordan found that Latinos who are United States actively voted to support Donald Trump's proposal for a wall along the southern border with Mexico. Support it. Half of the people voted against the Democratic Party's opposition to that wall. And there are millions of people that win Latino votes if they do that.
Well, hang on a second. Dick, hold on. Let's dig a little deeper. He says that the wall has been the core of the Democrat movement. Okay, true enough. Why? Why do the Democrats tell us they're against the wall? And by the way, the very, very same Democrats were for the wall 5 years ago, but we won't bother ourselves with that. Now they say they're against the wall. Why? Well, because it's racist. Obviously, if you want the wall, you hate Hispanics. So here we have 50% of Hispanics polled must hate Hispanics. I guess they wake up in the morning, they go in the bathroom, look in the mirror, and punch themselves in the heads because they hate Hispanics. Make sense? That's Democrat logic.
By almost a 10-point margin.
Yeah, I'm sure they would too, Dick. And you know what? I'm thinking Janis Joplin. Remember Janis Joplin? Popular singer in the 60s, had a real gravelly kind of voice, wound up offing herself with drugs. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. The reason Hispanics who are citizens and voters, the reason they want the wall is because they have something to lose. They've got skin in the game. They've built lives. They've got jobs. They've got families. They've got homes. They're invested in America. The criminals who come here illegally, they've got nothing invested. They've got no skin in the game. They've got nothing to lose. And so they don't want a wall. They want chaos as long as it's Hispanic chaos, as long as they become a majority, or at least the largest, they're already the largest minority. Rich politicians, multi-millionaire or billionaire politicians, the billionaire CEOs in Silicon Valley, they've got nothing to lose. The Zuckerbergs of the world, they're always going to be protected by walls of security and mammoth wealth. They don't care. They have nothing to lose, and so they're in favor of lawlessness and chaos. People who do have something to lose, who have built lives and are planning to live them going forward, they've got something to lose, and they have to do what's responsible. That accounts for the results of this poll. And folks, let me interrupt you. We're almost at a commercial break. Why would someone not support E-Verify? The only reason you wouldn't support it is if you wanted illegals to continue to be able to work and earn money here. Well, the only way you care if illegals make money is if you're making money off their backs. And by the way, to my African American listeners, you know, a lot of blacks have low-paying jobs, and that pay gets lower because illegals come and take the low-paying jobs. They drive labor salaries down. There's nothing good, nothing, that comes from illegal aliens crashing our border and getting into this country. The only people who benefit are the fat cats, the CEOs, and the Democrat Party, because they figure they're importing voters. Well, if your kid is doing drugs with drugs that came in illegally over the border, or if your kid is raped and beaten, maybe murdered by an illegal alien, do you really want to spend the rest of your life thinking, how can I have voted Democrat? Because the Democrats and their policies resulted in my child being dead. Folks, wake the hell up. No more time for stupidity in this country. We'll be back. All right, guys, we're almost out of time. Item from Breitbart. One of the most popular courses at the University of Washington allegedly includes a raffle for free pornography. According to a report from the University of Washington student newspaper, a popular human sexuality course offered at the institution includes a pornography giveaway. The report claims that the course's instructor, Professor Nicole McNichols, breaks down stigmas around sexuality for her students. Quote, "Sex is stigmatized," the student newspaper report reads. People find themselves lowering their voices when they get to the three-letter S word in a sentence before popping back up to their regular volume as if saying a word out loud is horrible. This reluctance to talk about sex and sexuality makes McNichols' field a controversial but important one. Unquote. That's a brainless comment. If that student had lived a little longer, he or she would know that America is a sex-drenched society. In fact, all of Western society is. And it's terrible. It results in 12-year-old girls getting pregnant. Young kids getting STDs, lives ruined. And I haven't even talked about the emotional aspect of dealing with things you're not yet prepared to deal with. Do we really need a class on sexuality? Really? Absolute stupidity. Item from Breitbart. Americans increasingly believe that Donald Trump has the personality and leadership qualities that the president should have, according to a poll released on Tuesday. Unquote. You see, now I've been betrayed by Donald Trump. I've been telling you for over 2 years that hoping that someone will act presidential is a fool's errand. It's stupid. Who cares how he acts? It's what he does. So now Donald Trump has screwed me over by acting presidential. I love him anyway. Item from Daily Wire. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio announced he was running for president on May 16th. He must have done some focus group testing to show that he had a chance at the Democrat nomination, but people in his own state, in the city where he's mayor even, don't seem to think he would be a good president. Shortly before he announced, MSNBC posted a video of New York City residents bashing their mayor. Now comes New York Magazine's Eve Pizer, who tried to find someone, anyone, who supported him for president. My friends, Bill de Blasio is an ass clown. Asked, answered. Item from the Economic Collapse blog. All across America, U.S. farmland is being gobbled up by foreign interests. So when we refer to the heartland of America, the truth is that vast stretches of that heartland are now owned by foreigners. And most Americans have no idea that this is happening. These days, a lot of people are warning about the globalization of the world economy. But in reality, our own soil is rapidly being globalized. When farms are locally owned, the revenue those farms take in tends to stay in local communities. But with foreign-owned farms, there's no guarantee that will happen. And while there's plenty of food to go around, this is not a major concern. But what happens when a food crisis erupts and those foreign-owned farms just keep sending their produce out of the country? There are some very serious national security concerns here, and they really aren't being addressed. Instead, the amount of farmland owned by foreigners just continues to increase with each passing year. Unquote. My friends, this is very, very unsettling, as is the fact that the government, the U.S. government, owns millions of square miles of land that belongs to the people. Donald Trump has done something about that. Early in his presidency, he started giving back government-owned land to private individuals. You know, it was Will Rogers who said invest in real estate because they ain't making any more. Well, we've got a finite amount, and we better hold on to it, especially farmland. I'll be back tomorrow with more Riell Truth. My friends, take my advice now. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay angry.